Following on from the 2015 launch of its hatchback sibling, the spacious Vauxhall Astra Sports Tourer is the estate car member of the family. Like the Vauxhall Astra hatchback, the Sports Tourer is the 7th generation of estates to wear the name, its lineage stretching back to 1980. Even though it has one of the largest boots in its class and more room for passengers than its predecessor, the British-built Sports Tourer won't have things all its own way in the mid-sized family estate market. There's fierce competition in the forms of not just the Ford Focus estate and Volkswagen Golf estate, but other players such as the capacious Honda Civic Tourer, Peugeot 308 SW and Skoda Octavia estate. Lighter, more spacious body and impressive 135 kilograms has been shaved from the Vauxhall Astra Sports Tourer's heft in spite of it being slightly larger than the model it replaces, and employing high-strength steel in its construction. Like the hatchback, it rides on an all-new, lighter underbody. Being less heavy allows for compact, more efficient engines as well as a size reduction for other components, like smaller brakes. This reduces the Astra Sports Tourer's thirst for fuel, aided by improved aerodynamics which match the hatchback's wind-cheating performance. Despite being lighter, the latest Sports Tourer's structure is also more rigid, allowing engineers to fine-tune the handling to an impressive degree. It's set to sate more enthusiastic drivers with its wieldiness just as the hatchback does. No surprise that the interior is as accommodating for passengers as the Astra hatchback. 4 6-foot-tall adults will easily sit comfortably while the back seat accommodates 3 child seats, a rarity in a car that's not a traditional MPV. Efficient engine range save for the entry-level 1.4-litre petrol with 100 horsepower. All of the other engines in the Vauxhall Astra Sports Tourer lineup are turbocharged. The petrol range is fleshed out by a 3-cylinder 1.0-litre motor with 105 horsepower, a further pair of 1.4s with 125 horsepower and 150 horsepower, respectively, and topping the performance side of the range, a 1.6-litre with 200 horsepower. That's the one to go for a 146 miles per hour top speed and a 0 to 62 miles per hour sprint of 7.2 seconds are at the top of your priority list. Diesels are expected to make up the majority of sales. All are 1.6-litre versions of Vauxhall's Wispect D unit in 110 horsepower, 136 horsepower and in biturbo form, 160 horsepower. With a claimed average of 83.1 miles per gallon and CO2 emissions of 89 grams/km, versions of the 110 horsepower engine with the fuel-saving EcoFlex pack and riding on 16-inch wheels will minimize running costs. Well-equipped, simplified range almost mirroring its hatchback counterpart, the Vauxhall Astra Sports Tourer lineup consists of 4 trim levels. There's no energy grade for the estate range, but many of the features offered are more commonly associated with more expensive cars. Both SRE and Elite trims come with Vauxhall's online concierge service, OnStar, as standard. Press the OnStar button just above the rear view mirror and you're put through to a Luton-based call center. Need directions to a restaurant? The OnStar representative will present a range of alternatives with the directions to your chosen one sent straight to the sat-nav. If you drive a lot at night you'll be impressed with the illumination of the optional IntelliLux LED matrix headlights. Not only do they offer a directional function when cornering, the automatic main beam prevents oncoming drivers from being dazzled. Vauxhall Astra Sports Tourer model history March 2016, all-new 7th generation estate version of the Astra launched with a broad range of petrol, 1.4 100 horsepower, 1.0 turbo 105 horsepower, 1.4 turbo 125 horsepower and 150 horsepower, and 1.6 turbo 200 horsepower, and diesel, 1.6 and 110 horsepower, 136 horsepower and 160 horsepower, engines. Trim hierarchy almost mirrors the hatchback with design, techline, SRE, nav, Elite and Elite nav specifications. Read on to find out how we rate this spacious yet compact family estate by reading the full Vauxhall Astra Sports Tourer review. 7 of the 8 strong engine range are turbos. Flagship 1.6-litre petrol produces 200 horsepower. Whispered diesels prove to be quiet yet torque-rich. There are no hybrid or electric power plants for the latest Vauxhall Astra Sports Tourer. Instead, performance is delivered by a range of petrol and diesel engines, all barring one of which are turbocharged. 5 petrol engines to choose from, kicking off the Astra Sports Tourer ranges in on-turbo 1.4-litre petrol producing just 100 horsepower and 130 Nm of torque at 4,300 revolutions per minute, with power sent to the front wheels via a 5-speed manual gearbox. Performance appears to be leisurely, with a 115 mph top speed and a 13.1 second time to reach 60 mph from a standstill. Stick to the smaller 16-inch wheels for a claimed economy of 51.4 miles per gallon and CO2 emissions rated at 127 grams/km. Offering marginally more performance with superior fuel economy is the turbocharged, 3-cylinder 1.0-litre petrol. It produces 105 horsepower and 170 Nm of torque from a low 1,800 revolutions per minute, allowing it to pull away from junctions with greater ease. It's a quiet, refined engine that feels at home in the Astra, although more power wouldn't go amiss. Vauxhall claims a top speed of 121 miles per hour, a 0 to 60 miles per hour time of 11.0 seconds and up to 62.8 miles per gallon thanks to stop, start and EcoFlex fuel-saving additions. Emissions are as low as 103 grams/km of CO2. Two motors in the middle of the range are expected to sell best from the petrol ensemble, 125 horsepower and 150 horsepower editions of the turbocharged 1.4-litre. Both produce 245 Nm of torque from 2,000 revolutions per minute and feature a 6-speed manual gearbox as standard, the more powerful engines also available with 6-speed automatic. No prizes for guessing that the 150 horsepower version's the quicker of the two, -134 miles per hour and 0 to 60 miles per hour in 8.2 seconds. Versus 127 miles per hour and 9.0 seconds, but efficiencies closely matched at 50.4 to 51.4 miles per gallon and CO2 emissions rated at 127 to 130 grams/km, respectively. Topping the range is the 1.6-litre turbo with 200 horsepower and 300 Nm of torque from just 1,700 revolutions per minute. It feels brisk rather than sporty, despite claims of 146 miles per hour and a hot hatch-like 7.2 second sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour. Unsurprisingly, it's the least efficient of the sports tourer lineup, Vauxhall quoting 45.6 miles per gallon and 142 g/km of CO2. Trio of diesels available. Whichever of the diesels you opt for, your Vauxhall Astra Sports Tourer will have a 1.6-litre engine under its bonnet. Entry point is the 110 horsepower version of the Whisper diesel, which focuses on economy rather than performance. A healthy 300 Nm of torque on song from 1,750 revolutions per minute, ensuring a 0 to 60 miles per hour time of 10.7 seconds with a top speed of 121 miles per hour. Add on the fuel miserly EcoFlex package and you've got the most efficient of sports tourer available, with claims of up to 83.1 miles per gallon and CO2 emissions pegged at 89 grams/km. Most diesel customers are expected to opt for the more powerful 136 horsepower edition and be willing to sacrifice a modest degree of fuel efficiency for notably improved performance. There's a marginal hike in torque, now up to 320 Nm at a slightly higher 2,000 revolutions per minute, which reduces the 0 to 60 miles per hour time to 9.5 seconds. Top speeds recorded at 127 miles per hour. Vauxhall still posts an official claim of up to 74.3 miles per gallon and CO2 emissions at 101 grams/km. Each diesel's fitted with the 6-speed manual gearbox as standard, with the 136 horsepower version optionally available with 6-speed automatic, pulling economy down to 62.8 miles per gallon when fitted with 16-inch wheels. Providing even more pace is the bi-turbo version of the diesel, producing 160 horsepower and 350 Nm of torque from just 1,500 revolutions per minute. It's a responsive unit, with negligible turbo lag, offering strong performance without having a woeful impact on efficiency. It'll reach 137 miles per hour, completing the 0 to 60 miles per hour dash in 8.4 seconds, yet still has a claimed average of 68.9 miles per gallon and emissions of 109 grams/km of CO2. Agility improved by lighter underpinnings, better to drive than any previous Astra estate. Few rivals can match its ride, handling balance following the lead of its hatchback sibling. The Vauxhall Astra Sports Tourer's ride and handling characteristics have been honed on Britain's demanding roads, with the goal being to make it enjoyable to drive. just a few miles behind the wheel confirms how agile the latest sports tourer is compared with its predecessor, aided by a significant weight saving from switching to all-new, lighter underpinnings. Keener drivers will appreciate the efforts Vauxhall has gone to, producing an estate that's very nearly as good to drive as the Ford Focus estate remains. Similarly, the Volkswagen Golf estate has the edge on comfort over the Astra, but only just. It's a great all-rounder. Criticisms of the handling setup are relatively minor. While grip through a series of bends impresses, in many Astras the power steering system feels over-assisted, being very light in its action as a result. This can be mitigated with 3 versions, complete with a sport button on the center console. Switching it on adds a greater degree of weight to the steering setup. In most conditions the Astra Sports Tourer's ride quality is adept at maintaining a comfortable equilibrium for passengers, but it's biased towards firmness regardless of the trim level. You'll have fewer passenger complaints as you ply motorways in the Vauxhall than traversing undulating country lanes. As with many rivals, a suite of electronic aids are available to bolster the handling finesse, pleasingly with little intrusiveness when they're called upon. Reining in the sports tourer through tighter corners is torque vectoring by brakes, reducing the speed of the inside wheels through bends to help you keep aligned close to that which you intended, as well as allowing you to get back on the power sooner as you exit thanks to improved stability. Arguably Vauxhall's greatest achievement with the sports tourer is that it feels barely any different to drive than its Astra hatchback counterpart, despite the additional weight of the extra metalwork at the back end. Higher quality cabin ambience than before, zoned controls are easy to use, responsive touchscreen has clear graphics. No surprise that the Vauxhall Astra Sports Tourer's good quality dashboard and interior fittings are shared with its hatchback counterpart. The upper plane is fabricated from soft touch, squidgy plastics, a method car manufacturers employ because the tactility makes the car feel more upmarket, while lower aspects are of a harder type, although they are well assembled. Controls are zoned according to their functions, making it easier for drivers to direct their hands to the required areas. Infotainment sits at the top, accessed via a 7.0 or 8.0-inch touchscreen with associated buttons and knobs immediately underneath. Below that are the aircon controls, and at the bottom are those linked to driving, such as the 3 Sport button. Evidently there's been a lot of effort to make the touchscreen easy to use. It's far more responsive than the system found in Peugeots and Citroëns, while the graphics look contemporary, too. The steering wheel's festooned with buttons and rocker switches for audio functions and cruise control, and while their placement's logical enough, some feel a bit of a stretch to operate with a dexterous thumb. Pleasingly, the indicator and wiper stalks are of a new, more elegant design and feel nicer to use. Although we'd prefer the main pair of instruments to be larger, they're admittedly clear, they just seem unnecessarily small. No surprise that the Vauxhall Astra Sports Tourer's good quality dashboard and interior fittings are shared with its hatchback counterpart, on sale from autumn 2015. The upper plane is fabricated from soft touch, squidgy plastics, a method car manufacturers employ because the tactility makes the car feel more upmarket, while lower aspects are of a harder type, although they are well assembled. Controls are zoned according to their functions, making it easier for drivers to direct their hands to the required areas. Infotainment sits at the top, accessed via a 7 or 8-inch touchscreen with associated buttons and knobs immediately underneath. Below that are the aircon controls, and at the bottom are those linked to driving, such as the 3 Sport button. Evidently there's been a lot of effort to make the touchscreen easy to use. It's far more responsive than the system found in Peugeots and Citroëns, while the graphics look contemporary, too. The steering wheel's festooned with buttons and rocker switches for audio functions and cruise control, and while their placement's logical enough, some feel a bit of a stretch to operate with a dexterous thumb. Pleasingly, the indicator and wiper stalks are of a new, more elegant design and feel nicer to use. Although we'd prefer the main pair of instruments to be larger, they're admittedly clear, they just seem unnecessarily small. Improved cabin space with ample room for adults. Rear seat can accommodate 3 child seats. Quiet cabin. Larger windows improve airy feel despite the broadly similar exterior dimensions. The Vauxhall Astra Sports Tourer's underpinnings allow it to liberate more interior space, which is great for overall comfort levels. 4 6-foot-tall adults can easily fit in the car, and usefully the rear bench seat is designed to take 3 child seats, a novel feat outside the MPV genre. Equally positive, passengers in the rear will find the Sports Tourer much airier than the back of the Astra hatchback's cabin. The window line is more conventional, Plus there's a large third side window to let more light into the car. Drivers of a variety of shapes and sizes will appreciate the degree of adjustability of the seat, especially on elite versions with 18 planes of alteration. Both front seats, the outer rears and the steering wheel are also heated on this grade. The features are extra cost options elsewhere in the range. Passengers are able to experience a quiet interior thanks to the development engineers' efforts to reduce wind noise, particularly around the windscreen pillars and door mirrors. Even the engines themselves are more hushed than many rivals' offerings, including the 3-cylinder petrol and 1.6-liter diesel choices. Simplified specification level hierarchy. Comprehensive equipment rosters on Star Standard on 3 and Elite trims from launch. The Astra Sports Tourer is available in 4 trim levels, the highest pair of which can be further upgraded with NAF additions. Design, tech line, 3 and Elite form the standard range. The Sports Tourer misses out on the hatchback's energy specification. Standard Vauxhall Astra Sports Tourer equipment. Vauxhall claims that for each specification level starting price, the Astra Sports Tourer is one of the most generously equipped in the compact family estate segment. Design is the Sport Tourer's entry level, but it's not a hairshirt special designed for those who simply need a vast cargo area with the bare necessities in terms of equipment. It comes with LED day running lights, black roof rails, 16-inch alloy wheels, Vauxhall's R4.0 IntelliLink infotainment system with a 7.0-inch touchscreen, Bluetooth connectivity and DAB radio, aircon, all-round electric windows and cruise control. In the region of 80% of Astra Sports Tourers have historically gone the way of company car drivers, and the tech line trim has them targeted in Vauxhall's crosshairs. It builds upon the design specification, adding in an 8.0-inch infotainment screen including sat-nav thanks to the Navi 900 system. A leather steering wheel and an adjustable front armrest are also part of the package. Expected to make up the majority of Astra Sports Tourer sales is the 3 grade, harking back to sportier Vauxhalls over the past 3 decades. Nowadays it comprises of racier themes rather than indicating a more potent edition of the range, hence the 17-inch alloys, sight and light pack with LED tail lamps and front fog lights. Inside you'll find the OnStar system, sports front seats, a leather steering wheel and a driving assistance pack with a forward-facing camera, road sign recognition and lane-keeping assistant to steer you between the white lines of your lane. If you want navigation thrown in, pick 3 NAF, which adds the Navi 900 package and its 8.0-inch touch screen. Close to the pinnacle of the Sports Tourer lineup is the luxurious Elite specification. It too features 17-inch alloys, silver-finished roof rails, ergonomic sports seats swathed in leather with 4-way electrical adjustment and extendable seat cushions. Elsewhere there's a heated steering wheel complemented by heated front and outer rear seats, climate control, the side and light package, OnStar connectivity and a pair of USB sockets for rear seat passengers. At the summit there's Elite NAF, which is to the Elite what 3 NAF is to the 3. Optional Vauxhall Astra Sports Tourer accessories. Car personalization isn't especially popular with compact estates, but a number of upgrades are available for the Astra Sports Tourer to make it even more to your liking. Many options are available only on selected trim levels, but most models are available with alloy wheel upgrades. Be aware that larger sizes negatively impact on CO2 emissions, and metallic paint. Parking can be made more of a doddle by fitting a reversing camera, while a complete self-parking function is also available. Safety can be reinforced further with the blind spot warning system and LED illumination for the rear lights. Headlamps can be upgraded to full IntelliLux LED matrix systems with automatic main beam. You can improve your tranquility further with an 18-way adjustable driver's seat featuring a massager, ventilation and variable width settings, as well as a perfumed fragrance diffuser. 5-star Euro NCAP crash testing score. IntelliLux LED headlamps impressed us. Driving assistance pack loaded with kit as a body derivative of the hatchback, the Vauxhall Astra Sports Tourer has effectively already achieved the full 5-star crash test rating for safety from the experts at Euro NCAP. In spite of its lightness, the latest Astra Sports Tourer employs a greater degree of ultra-high-strength steel in its construction, with 6 airbags to protect passengers in the event of an accident. As with the majority of contemporary cars, there's a host of electronic aids to boost the Vauxhall's stability, further reducing the opportunity for a driver to lose control in the first place. Safety equipment closely mirrors that of the Vauxhall Astra hatchback, with 3 and Elite models featuring the driving assistance pack. Night driving is significantly improved with the optional LED IntelliLux matrix headlamps, featuring 16 independent lighting pods that allow sections of illumination to be switched on and off to avoid dazzling oncoming drivers. Further safety extras include blind spot warning and an automatic parking function. Spacious boot isn't the class leader. Plenty of cabin space on offer. Elite versions have 40 hours 20 minutes 40 seconds split rear seat, while the Vauxhall Astra Sports Tour is undoubtedly a practical estate car. The company has been wise not to make any claims about its spaciousness, setting new class standards. In terms of outright volume, it falls considerably short. With all 5 seats in place, the Sports Tourer offers 540 litres of boot space, which is enough to trump the Ford Focus Estate's 490-litre tally, but is shy of what the Honda Civic Tourer, 624 litres, Peugeot 308 SW, 660 litres, Skoda Octavia Estate, 610 litres, and Volkswagen Golf Estate, 605 litres, can muster. Fold the split rear seats. minus 60 hours 40 minutes on all models barring the Elite, which features a 40 hours 20 minutes 40 seconds arrangement, and it's a similar story. The Vauxhall's 1,630-litre capacity beats the Ford, 1,495 litres, and VW, 1,620 litres, but loses out to the Honda, 1,668 litres, Peugeot, 1,775 litres, and Skoda, 1,740 litres. Additional carrying capacity is offered on top, as all Astra Sports Tourers feature roof rails as standard to ease the fitment of a top box, while this Vauxhall's also the first from the marque to be fitted with an automatic tailgate operated with the foot wiggle under the rear bumper. Dotted around the cabin are plenty of sensibly shaped and sized storage cubbies. The boot itself has usefully perpendicular sides and the rear seats fold very easily, giving nearly flat load floor. Our only gripe was the retractable load space cover. When stowed, the leading edge hangs downwards into the boot, meaning larger items like suitcases can foul its path when you want to pull it shut.